Well, Bennett Kessler filed this report. Inyo Superior Court Judge Dean Stout has issued a preliminary ruling that the Deep Springs College Trust cannot be interpreted to admit female students to the longtime all-male college. Now, the Deep Springs trustees went to Inyo Court last year to ask that the trust created by college founder L.L. Nunn be interpreted to admit women. The trust says the college was established for, quote, the education of promising young men, end quote. Now, the trustees reason that since 1917, times have changed and women play a much more significant role in society. So they argue it's time for women to be admitted to Deep Springs. Now, two of the trustees, represented by attorney Joe Liebert, disagreed and went to court to oppose the majority of the board. Liebert had said that it is a matter of trust law and what the trust says. Judge Stout has issued an order which says that the Deep Springs Trust, quote, cannot be construed as giving the trustees discretion to admit female students, end quote. Now, Judge Stout also ruled that the Deep Springs Corporation is bound by the trust, and he granted a preliminary injunction to stop admission of women for now. The majority of trustees had reasoned that the corporation essentially holds all the assets and operates the college aside from the trust. The judge disagreed. Now, there is still an issue pending whether or not the court will agree to modify the trust to allow female students. Now, a status conference and setting of further hearing on that matter is set for January 22nd in Inyo Court. The Deep Springs trustees had already opened the door to female applicants before this court decision. Now, on the college website, a letter written by college president David Niedorf apologizes to female applicants for the inconvenience. The website says the college is, quote, disappointed that we cannot move ahead with coeducation this year, but remain confident about the final outcome of the ongoing litigation, end quote. Now, the website also says that once Judge Stout has issued his full ruling, the trustees will, quote, develop the next phase of its legal efforts, end quote. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this story about the snow and water content that continues to go up in the Sierra. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power website graph shows Mammoth Pack snowpack with 22.3 inches of water content. Now, last year at this time, it was closer to 2 inches. Now, with at least 3 more months to go in the winter season, conditions so far have turned out considerably more wet than last season. The DWP graph shows the snow pillow measurements at Mammoth Pass at 113% of normal to date, Rock Creek 189%, South Lake at 91%, Big Pine Creek at 85%, and Cottonwood Lakes 173%. Now, the first snow survey of the year for all of California looks good too. According to the Department of Water Resources, the readings show the snowpack statewide water content at 134% of average for this time of year. DWR's Ted Thomas said we are off to a good water supply start for the new year, but we have to remember that we have seen wet conditions suddenly turn dry more than once, end quote. Right now, state officials say they can deliver just over 40% of the some 4 million acre feet of state water project water requested this year by 29 public agencies that supply more than 25 million Californians. The delivery estimate is expected to increase as more winter storms develop. The state rarely delivers 100% of requested water. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this story. He has written songs for Brandy, Justin Bieber, and John Legend. 25-year-old Frank Ocean, described as a rhythm and blues musician, singer, songwriter, and rap artist, is now best known in the Eastern Sierra for his run-ins with law enforcement around New Year's. Now, the Mono County Sheriff had reported a couple of weeks ago that a deputy, with help from a California Highway Patrol officer, had stopped a black BMW for speeding near Tom's Place on New Year's Eve. The report said Frank Ocean was in that vehicle and was cited for possession of a small bag of marijuana. He was cited and released with a report going to the Mono County District Attorney. Now, news later got out that the New York Daily News said that Ocean was also pulled over by the California Highway Patrol on December 30th as he drove north near Kehoe's on Highway 395. The Daily News story said a CHP officer gave Ocean a verbal warning about his speed and cited him for driving with a suspended driver's license and having tinted front windows. Now, that same story reported that a passenger drove the vehicle away. Now, according to reports on the internet, Ocean had lived in New Orleans and was influenced by the local jazz scene. And after Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005, Ocean moved to Los Angeles. He was awarded Album of the Year by 2012 Soul Train Music Awards for his album Channel Orange. Ocean also made headlines last year when he announced his same-sex attraction. Reports said that he became one of the first major African-American artists to announce his homosexuality. We'll be back with a weather report.